Hey guys, this is Rise, and I'm back with Klazart bringing you set 3 of the MSL match between Flash and Kwanro. Now, the first two matches have been pretty exciting. Kwanro took the first one, although it was a lot of effort involved, not effort the Zerg player, Kwanro involved. He managed to take it down. He managed to take the Giant down and win the first set. But the Giant, Flash, came back in the next set and just took it away, showed him why he was a Giant, and basically just powerhoused him. Rolled right over him, and there was not much that Kwanro could do in response. This is now the third set. I was going to say that both players are sweating because they're both having to work to move on to the next round, and it looks like Kwanro may be visibly sweating and maybe even a little uncomfortable here as he's trying to go through his relaxation routine. And Flash, I would imagine, is actually a little bit more confident. They're going to be playing on, oh, I didn't see the map, Outsider. Oh, this is going to be a very interesting match for sure, because Outsider is becoming one of my more favorite maps after all. As much as I hate the Ash tile set, this map has a lot of great features that any race can really take advantage of. So we'll have to see who's able to do what. But Klazart, what are your predictions? Who is going to move on in the third set to the next round?
Well, I think undoubtedly Flash is the favorite. We've got Kwanro at the 9 o'clock position here in blue, Flash in purple at the 12 o'clock position. Flash persisting with that 14cc, paying off for him last game. It'll be interesting to see if he goes for it a third time and what Kwanro's response to that is. Kwanro looks like he might be scouting in the wrong direction initially. He is scouting southwards towards that 6 o'clock base. So that's going to be a little bit against him, especially if Flash does go for that 14cc. Kwanro's gonna scout it that little bit later, and it'll be interesting to see what build Kwanro goes for. So far, I think he's gone for a 12 hatch in both his games, and last time his aggression was what cost him. And it'll be interesting to see if he reins that back a little bit this time around. Now sending that drone out fairly early, we might be seeing a drone scout here potentially from Kwanro. I think he's sending that drone towards the north base. I think he wants to know if Flash 14cc's again, and I think that's a smart move. I think Zerg players should do it more often. I know it's costly to send a drone out that early, but I think it's totally worth it. Looks like Kwanro getting that overlord again, and that drone is really going to give the option to go either a 12 hatch or even a 12 pool if he feels the need to. Because he's gonna have that drone scout probably get into Flash's bit. Flash looks like he's putting the racks down first, so not seeing a 14cc from Flash, but we might see a 1 racks into CC. We might still see a fast expand from Flash. It'll be interesting if he does do that. But yeah, I think the smart money is probably on Flash. Kwanro looks like he is going for another 12 hatch.
Well, I gotta agree with you. I do think that is a great idea for Zerg players to do in the beginning, especially on the third set. You gotta think that there's some psychological factors coming into play in this set. Kwanro knows that he can beat Flash, and that's huge, by the way, in the fact that he was able to do that by itself. And Flash knows that he's got to win this. He can't be losing this if he's going to move on. And wow, look at the poll. The poll's actually swung a little bit more into Kwanro's favor from 79-21 to 75-25. So maybe one or two people have changed their opinions on Kwanro. And I got to say, I'm fairly impressed with his play. His macro looks like it's improved. And in general, it looks like he's kind of had a little bit more patience added to his repertoire, which he always lacked in the past. And I mean, while it's good to be aggressive, there's quite obviously a time and a place for it, and I think that Kwanro may actually be learning that. It's not to say that he's going to necessarily be able to beat Flash magically now that he has a little bit of patience, because I think it will take more than that, but he's well on his way, and he is putting up a good fight. Flash would appear to be going for a command center after his barracks, like you had implied, or said actually, and it looks like he's probably going to try to put a little bit of pressure on Kwanro as well. I don't know if he's going to try to throw down a bunker and force him to defend or not. No, it doesn't look like he's moving those Marines out, so I don't think we're going to see that after all. And Kwanro actually going for a third hatchery, so Kwanro definitely going the economic route, which I actually like this time. I think this is a smart move. I think that he needs to make sure that if Flash is allowed to expand, he's got to be able to keep up with, if not stay ahead of Flash, if at all possible, in the macro game. And really, on Outsider, we see that it's a very successful map to go things like Muta, especially because of the plentiful gas after that third base, after that third hatchery that he put down, where he can just have 4 gas like that. And so it's going to mean a lot. It looks like Flash Flash is going to scout that, and he is going to go once again the bio build, which isn't that common on this map. I've been seeing a lot of mech builds against Zerg players, and so you know, I'm actually curious if this is going to work out. There may be a reason that most players go mech, and maybe Flash is just more comfortable at this point with his bio build. But either way, we'll have to see how it develops, as it looks like Kwanro is now going into his lair tech.
Yeah, critical moment in the game coming up now. Flash just pushing out with those 5 Marines, going to try and snipe that Overlord, not able to get it. But yeah, I think Kwanro would have been much better off if he'd been able to deny that SCV. Nevertheless, I still feel that he's probably got the slightly superior starting build to Flash's. I really like the kind of 12 hatch into triple hatch opening for Zerg players versus Terran. That's the old school style Savior opening that Savior dominated Terran players with for so long and so well, and especially against the bio building Terran, the Terran who fast expands after 1 rack. So I think it can be very effective. Now it looks like Kwanro's got the Zergling speed upgraded. And he's moving around. If he can catch some of these Marines here, Flash does have a lot of Marines. The Zerglings are within range, though. It looks like Kwanro might actually be able to win this battle and take out most of those Marines, and that's not going to be good for Flash. He's just lost almost all of his Marines. He's only got about 3 Marines left, and they're quite badly damaged as well, and that's not where you want to be, because when that Zerg Mutalisk harass comes around, you want to have the maximum size force. Also, you want to be able to put pressure on the Zerg player early on. Now Kwanro putting that first creep column down, he's going to have that sunken up, and really, Flash is going to take that much longer to get his first medic and Marine force, and that means that Kwanro might potentially be able to save on a few minerals and a few sunkens just that little bit longer. Now he's getting that spire down as well, and I think that might actually cost Flash a lot. That little engagement there early on from Kwanro might actually be quite painful for Flash, because right now he should have double the number of Marines that he has based on what he's been doing thus far. Now getting those comp stats down as well, but as you can see, in no position to put pressure on Kwanro's 3rd expo early on, which he did scout.
I agree 100%. I mean, look at that paltry force that he's putting out now. Hey, that was the Klazart word, paltry. It's impressive, right? And really, I mean, Kwanro hasn't really had to defend too much with those sunkens. He's only now putting them up. He was allowed to drone up a little more than usual because he didn't have to worry about the pressure. Flash he just didn't have the units to really do any damage. So Kwanro knew that he could hold whatever Flash could throw at him. Now Flash finally coming up with almost a control group. I don't know if he even has 12 units there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 units it looks like, with a couple more to join him at the end, and no fire bats either. So he's not going to be able to just run in, have a couple of fire bats absorb 3 hits, and then take out some sunkens with the Marines. No, he's going to actually have to just sit there and wait. And basically what I expect to see at this point is the typical Zerg versus Terran play, where the Terran, as you can see on the minimap, has to head back to his base, because now we're going to be seeing the Muta harass coming from Kwanro. And really, all that Flash just did there was just standard play. He was going through the motions, basically, of like, all right, I'm supposed to put pressure on, so he put sunkens up. Now I got to go back, and I feel like Kwanro has a legitimate edge at this point, where Flash, you know, he's kind of behind. And look at this, we got 2 ports coming up, so it looks like we're actually probably going to be seeing an SK Terran build, which would be very interesting. But I wonder if it's going to be in time for those mutas. I don't know if those double starports was a good idea, because he just spent a lot of resources on them. And there are a lot of Muta coming down to rain some, whatever they call them, glaive worms at those turrets and taking them down. They're not actually up in time, doing a lot of damage. This is going to be a lot more successful than his last Mutalisk harass, and he's already got a very good separation on the Medic Marine Force as well, and he's wreaking havoc at that natural expansion, and Flash may actually be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, Kwanro doing some serious damage to Flash's economy, and that extractor coming under fire. Flash is not mining that second gas right now, and that is critical. And if that extractor goes down, he's going to be really behind, because he's going to need that gas, especially with those 2 starports that he's put up. And that gas goes down. The refinery goes down. That is horrible. Sorry, not extractor. Refinery goes down, and that is really going to hurt Flash big time. And Kwanro continuing to focus those turrets down at that natural expo. He is taking some damage from Marines in that bunker, as well as Marines up in that ridge. Flash has positioned those Marines well, but Flash just doesn't have the defenses up that he needed to have, and Kwanro is just roaming freely through Flash's airspace, and that is not a position where Flash wants to be. And I was going to suggest that Kwanro perhaps had been a little bit overcautious putting that fort sunken down so early. I don't think he really needed that to hold his defense, but I guess it's not really going to cost him too much in the end, because the amount of damage he has inflicted to Flash has been serious. I was going to also say that we're going to see a test of Kwanro's late game here. Now Flash with the science facility up and the dual control towers going down on those starports. So he's going to be pumping those science vessels like crazy, but he doesn't have the second gas that he needs to really be able to do it, and Kwanro is not allowing him to build another refinery because Kwanro hasn't let him put a turret up, and Kwanro is running away right now. He's already teching to Hive, and I think it's going to come down to Kwanro. If Kwanro can do some decent Scourge play and keep Flash's science vessel count from ballooning, and meanwhile Kwanro looks like he's taking the dual gas as well now at the bottom. If Kwanro can keep Flash's economy from booming, Kwanro now might even spot, and he spotted the dual starports critically as well, and now he's in Flash's main, and Kwanro just doing so much economic damage to Flash. I really feel that Kwanro is either going to have to mess up royally, or Flash is going to have to do something brilliant to win this game, because a Terran player should not, in my humble opinion, be able to recover from the level of economic damage that Kwanro has inflicted with those Mutalisks.
Well, we actually saw some interesting comments in the last game where Kwanro actually beat Flash, and I think the best phrase I saw was Kwan-rolled. I think someone's about to get Kwan-rolled here. I mean, Flash is actually in a very defensive position. He has not really been able to move out of his base. This is the farthest I've seen those Marines venture, and technically he's still in his base anyway, so it doesn't matter. And Kwanro continuing to put pressure on. I can't believe Flash isn't putting turrets up over there. Just 4 or 5 SCVs like that, like nothing. 6. Oh man, Kwanro doing. Oh, I don't know if he got it. Oh no, I didn't get that one. But Kwanro doing a great job of just taking out SCVs, and now a greater spire. We may be seeing some guards coming out here. So Kwanro is putting on the Kwanronage. I can't think of any other ways to incorporate Kwanro into ownage and epical words, but it looks like he's also putting up a couple of Sunkens as extra defense measures, and we've seen Ultralisk Cavern as well. I wonder if Kwanro can actually decide to what tech he feels like building at this point, because it looks like he's just going to build everything. I have a feeling he's not going to build many more Mutalisks, although he's been very successful with the Mutalisk play. He's got to watch out. The science vessels are out now. Irradiate's got to be almost completed. The science vessels are eventually very close to those mutas. I think we're going to be seeing some Irradiate in the next couple of seconds, but Kwanro's not falling for it. He goes right after those science vessels, and Flash is forced to pull back, so his little ploy of trying to show some muscle isn't going to work here. And we see Defiler's Mound as well, so Kwanro is all over the Zerg tech tree, and I mean, really, this is exactly what he needs to be doing, and Flash realizing he's got to put some pressure on, but is it too late as we watch an episode of Sunken Defense materialize in Kwanro's base?
Yeah, I'm not sure why he feels he needs 14 Sunkens. Flash doesn't have that many Medic and Marines. 16 Sunkens, I think. Or I think Kwanro's aim in this game is to cover the entire tile set with Sunkens. He's got about 1,000 now. He's gonna need another 3,000 or 4,000. And going for the Guardians there, forced to cancel a couple of them, and he's forced to actually cancel all of them and loses half of his Mutalisks in the process. I don't think that's gonna cost Kwanro too much because he does have so much gas. But this is the critical part of the game. Your Flash, the genius behind SK Terran is that it is such a low eco build. You can really survive with the Skeleton Force if you can keep those science vessels alive and continue to amass them, and that is what Flash needs to do to win this game. Although Kwanro, as I said, with about 1,000 Sunkens up already, aiming to get about 10,000 up. But Kwanro's Scourge play is going to be absolutely critical here. He doesn't have a lot of units really right now, apart from those Mutalisks and a handful of Scourges. He doesn't have any units. He's just got an economy, and he's got basically a building defense. So it's a kind of a strange game from Kwanro, and I feel that he's being a little bit too cute for his own good, and it might just end up costing him if he's not careful. He doesn't want to be silly here. Flash now looks like he's going to take that expansion just at the 3 o'clock, the min only. But Kwanro doesn't want to get too cute here. Flash is now going to be able to come and take this expansion at the 1 o'clock position down that Kwanro was set up, unfortunately for him, because he just doesn't have the resources to defend it. I don't think it's going to bother Kwanro too much, but it looks like he's just going to go straight into Ultraling. I think that's why he's not building anything. He's just trying to delay Flash, and that's why he's put all those Sunkens down, because he's just going to mass Ultralisks and Defilers. But he's giving Flash a window of opportunity in this game here by not keeping the pressure up and not sniping those science vessels. Flash already with about 4 science vessels, and Kwanro's got to be careful here. He could end up losing. He could end up snatching defeat from the jaws of victory by being overconfident based on his early game lead. And those Ultras are now beginning to pop out.
What the hell was that? He had like 4 Scourges hovering over, or if not past, the Science Vessels, and it's like he just didn't click on them or something. And I mean, really, Flash is not the player that you can be doing that sort of stuff against. I mean, you got to make sure that if you hit him, if you knock him down, you got to hit him while he's down. You got to kick him in the balls. You got to make sure he never wants to get up again to fight you. And Kwanro is not doing that right now. I mean, Flash is being allowed to get into this game. He's got multiple dropships as well, and dropships is like the bane of the Scourge. I mean, basically, it's not really a phrase I would use much. Seems odd, but anyway, I mean, you would think that the dropship he doesn't have any defenses at his other bases. All of his defense, his structural defense, is put at the main front. And oh, beautiful! Irradiate taking out so many, both Muta and Scourge, all at the same time. And oh, Flash is doing what Flash does best. He is just harassing the crap out of Kwanro. Maybe that's not what he does best. Maybe he does something else best. But right now, he's doing a pretty good job of just harassing Kwanro. And I don't know what Kwanro is going to be able to do in return right now, as he gets Overlords of all things irradiated. Oh, because they're full of ultras. That is very clever of Flash, actually, to force him to not be able to drop it. And then there's no Scourge out in play to be able to take down those Science Vessels. And like you said, in this low econ build that Flash is using, if he can keep those Science Vessels alive, he is going to be golden. And now Flash is going on 4 bases, and a 5th one is building. So Kwanro, like you said, maybe he is going to snatch the... I don't even know how you said it. Something about losing defeat and winning the other thing. But I don't think it's going to work out for Kwanro. And it looks like Flash has made his way back into this game.
Yeah, Kwanro. Well, I mean, let's not. It's not over yet. I mean, Kwanro has had his economy still virtually untouched, running for a long time in this game, and he's had a very strong economy. So he's going to be able to pump those Ultralists out. They're 1-1 upgraded now. Now heading towards Flash's main. A drop in Flash's main. Flash immediately bring those Marines out. It is difficult to funnel those Marines back, and that's why Kwanro's trying to get those Ultralists in position at that ramp. But these Ultralists aren't going to do a lot of damage, I feel. Flash forced to irradiate at least one of those Ultralisks, which is going to help Kwanro kill a lot of Medic and Marines. But I don't think that's going to bother Kwanro too much. And Kwanro, really, he's just going all out with Ultralists. Where are the Cracklings to accompany those Ultralists? He's got Defilers and Ultralists, but no Cracklings, and you really need the Cracklings to do the damage. Meanwhile, Kwanro with Ultralist, and there are the Cracklings coming into play at that 5 o'clock expo. So as I was going to say, let's not count Kwanro out. He has been a little bit error-prone in this game right now and making his task of victory a lot more difficult, but he actually kills that command center. Flash didn't lift it, which he really should have, considering Kwanro had no air attack at all, had nothing to be able to hit an air unit. Now trying to take that bunker down, those Ultras are probably going to get taken out. Flash, meanwhile, re-securing that expo at the 5 o'clock position with the majority of his forces. Kwanro is going to take out a lot of Flash's units, now streaming with the Ultralists, and Flash being almost overrun by Kwanro's Ultralists right now. Forced to lift is natural as well, so being pegged right back, but critically, he's got about 8 Science Vessels, and Kwanro, I don't think, has killed a single Science Vessel in this game, even though he's coming under heavy fire. Even though Flash is coming under heavy fire, Kwanro hasn't killed a single Science Vessel in this game, and that still could cost him, but he did have that economy burgeoning for quite some time.
Beautiful Zerg play, it's got to be said. He is doing what Zerg is basically designed to do, and that's guerrilla tactics all over the map, throwing the other player off, keeping them off their base, and he's been able to take out bases, not to mention keeping them off his base. So very brilliant play by Kwanro at this point, and really, Flash now being down back to 3 bases, it looks like. He's going to be in a little bit of trouble here if he can't secure something, and that Overlord just... oh man, he could use that Overlord as an eraser and take out SCVs, but no, it doesn't look like he's going to actually drop an Ultra and a couple of Lings to do some damage, and he's going to stop another base from mining, and really there's only his main base right now able to mine, and that's going to be mined out very shortly. Even though there's another command center floating over to another base, Kwanro is on top of it right now. Like you were saying, he does have that economic advantage. He was saving up for a while, basically, and now it's just very difficult for Flash to deal with it all, it seems, as he continues to just wreak havoc in his base with a random Ultra or two, you know? He's just doing a great job at that. The only improvement I can really see him making at this point is better Scourging. Maybe some Plague with a Hero Muta. That would be fantastic, you know? I mean, it would be a great way to ensure that he can actually survive this if he can't, really close the deal here. And we are still seeing 8 of those. And a Scourge going up and hit landing on the dropship. Only one, though, not going to do enough damage. But Kwanro going in the back door once again. Flash should have saw that. He had a building floating right there. But instead, Kwanro's just allowed to waltz right in. And Flash is just basically hanging around his barracks, using them as the only defense that he can muster at this point. And really, that means that Flash is on his heels. And Kwanro could beat Flash and move on to the next round.
Yeah, Flash is in huge trouble. I guess we should have given Kwanro a little bit more credit, but I do feel that his Scourge micro has been absolutely abysmal in this game, and yeah, he almost did, I feel. And I think it's going to be hard for Flash to win now, really, because he's lost so many. And finally, a Plague catching all of those Science Vessels, although the Scourge not hitting one of the Plague Science Vessels. And oh my god, this is going to be horrible for Flash, almost losing a bunch of Science Vessels to the Spore Colony. Remember, luckily for Flash, the Plague hadn't had enough time to set in, otherwise those Science Vessels would have all been one-shot. He could have lost 3 or 4 Science Vessels there. Now Flash dropping that Expo that Kwanro is trying to take at the 1130 position, the double gas there, as well as it looks like dropping another Expo. I'm not sure where that second drop was. The 1130 is definitely going to go down, and it looks like that's just north of the 6 o'clock base as well. That's going to get taken down. The natural of the 6 o'clock base is going to get taken down. Kwanro has got the 6 o'clock base as well, but Flash essentially is forced to resort to kind of Science Vessel usage, and really he's got no gas to speak of because he's just mining from his main, and I don't think he's even mining from his natural. I don't think he's mining gas from his natural at all, but he has stopped Kwanro mining from that 10 o'clock Expo. Looks like Kwanro coming in for a drop now at Flash is Expo, and Flash this time does lift the command center, and Kwanro, remember, doesn't have a lot of anti-air bar those Scourges, so Flash will be able to save himself, save his SCVs and save that command center, but it's looking dire. Now Kwanro with the Mutalisk trying to pick those Science Vessels. Looks like he has actually killed a lot of those Science Vessels. I only see 2 Science Vessels now out in the field for Flash, and I think with those Science Vessels, probably Flash's last hope is going to go to the point where Kwanro feels he can throw away Scourges on hitting a full HP command center. Flash with still a good-sized medic and reinforce on the ground, but Kwanro certainly with the map control, and Flash with not much of an army, not much to speak of in comparison.
Well, he actually managed to take out a dropship that was floating directly above the command center, so it was actually a very useful Scourge.
Oh, okay.
Flash is now down to 1 dropship, and you see it right there. And Flash has been most effective when he had 2 dropships. 2's better than 1, of course. And Flash now, with only the single dropship, is going to be much slower in his harassments, of course. While he's still continuing to do a very good job, he's dropping where his main attack force was anyway, and Kwanro has in turn countered Flash at his main base. So Kwanro looks to be trading a expansion base for Flash's main, which is a very worthwhile trade for Kwanro, of course. We're still seeing a ton of those. Oh man, there are a lot of Science Vessels out, but they're useless because he's got nothing to actually use them against. He's got nothing to support them with, and really all Kwanro needs is to just mass Scourge them or hero muta them or what. I don't know if he managed to take out a lot or not. I did hear a couple explode, but it looks like Flash does still have a lot, and he has a lot of Irradiate, but Irradiate alone cannot win this game. He needs to be mining minerals. He needs to be able to support a Marine force, and you can see that half his barracks aren't building anything. In fact, only 1 barracks is building anything, and he clearly has no money to build anything else, and now we're just seeing Ultras versus Marines here. Flash can micro all he wants, but he will not win this battle, and these Ultras are going to come out on top, which I think means Kwanro is going to come out on top and win this battle against Flash, and that means Kwanro is going to Kwanron Flash, and he does! GG!
Oh, and he actually pumps the air with his fist. Brilliant, and you could just see the exaltation for Kwanro. He is so pleased with himself, and so he should be. Flash bitterly disappointed. And, I guess it was that fast expand. I think what cost, to be honest, if I was to put that game down to one moment for Flash, it was when he lost that first group of Marines just to those Zerglings. If he had those extra Marines, he would have been much better off in his defense against those Mutalisks. And then, perhaps, I think you're right, Ryzen, that he went for those dual starport a little too early so that he didn't have enough turrets. And he, again, looks like Flash skimping out on the turrets is going to cost him the game. But I was hugely impressed with Kwanro. I still feel he needs to work a lot on his Scourge micro. I don't think he killed a lot of Science Vessels that entire match, but I'm impressed with his Defiler play, and you just saw, I think that game completely and beautifully demonstrated the power of that double gas base if you can get it up early enough and hold it, because Kwanro was just able to mine up and just then take Flash down hugely with his 1000 Sunkens holding his line till he was ready to unleash those Ultralings.
That's just absurdity, man. Just think about this. Kwanro, in the round of 16, has just beaten a past champion. He just beat the top player, you know, the player that everyone had favored not only to win the match against Kwanro, but to win the whole thing. I mean, Flash is like the god of Terran StarCraft other than Leader right now. And I mean, really, can you really fathom? Look how happy Kwanro is. I mean, he is so... I don't know if he can even believe what he did. And Flash, when Flash lost, he actually looked like he was embarrassed about it. It was like, my God, I just lost to Kwanro, who has never really gotten very far in any competition ever. So I got to say, you know, hats off to Kwanro. He did a great job. Flash, I agree. I think that he really didn't play up his defense well enough against the Mutas. And Kwanro just did a beautiful job of continuing that economic harassment. He took out that economic lead that Flash could have gotten from that fast expansion. And really, you can see why it hurts a Terran player. There was just no real response from Flash after that happened. He put pressure on a couple times. He had some nice dropship play. But in the end, Kwanro, he was so well defended at the front door. There was nothing going on there. Flash could never afford to get tanks out, really, because he just never had the resources, since he was short on gas and he was going SK Terran anyway, which I don't even think is a good idea on this map. And finally, I mean, he got Kwanro'd. I mean, I think that's all there is to it. And I got to say, GG, that was an exciting set, not just a match, but a set in general. And I've felt lately that StarCraft has been getting, you know, blasé, boring. It's just not been exciting games. But I gotta say, the past couple of weeks we've been doing these commentaries, things have been getting out of control with new play, you know, going back to some roots while introducing some new things at the same time. And this is a very exciting time. We may be watching the new changeover in talent at the top.